Many of you may have struggled in the past to move up a weight class, putting on weight, becoming slower, feeling less conditioned, and then realizing, hey, maybe I should just stick to my same weight class or keep moving down. Now, there are genuine reasons you want to move up a weight class. If you are growing and you're getting taller, you may want to fill out your weight class by having more muscle mass. You may just be small for your size. Again, you want to fill out the weight class. You might want to train a little bit above your weight class so you can weight cut down, obviously not to the extreme. But having that extra buffer means you can rehydrate back above your weight class weight. And finally, you may want to just be more physically imposing and be able to add muscle mass and fill out your weight class or move up a weight class without losing your speed and conditioning is one way you can do that. Now, the number one reason people don't like to gain weight or build muscle in combat sports is those factors. It's the reason that people tend to lose their speed and lose their conditioning. But that comes down to the type of training they're doing and not the actual weight gain itself. So here are the 4 principles that you need to be able to gain weight effectively and move up a weight class without losing your speed and your conditioning. The first one is to always train all qualities. You'll know from past videos I've done and even the podcast that my training philosophy revolves around training all qualities and not having block sequences of just trying to maximize a quality. So that means within a session, you're going to cover your speed, your power, your strength, and your muscle building style exercises, versus most people will go down a bodybuilding style program where they're doing bro split, something from a bodybuilding magazine, high volume, chest one day, legs another day, etc. And that's when they run into the problem. You lose your speed and you lose your conditioning. 1, because you're not doing it. And 2, because you're doing so much volume and you're getting so much fatigue, it's taking away from everything else. So after this, I will run through an example day that you might have to train all qualities. The second principle is fast to slow. So within a training session, you want to do your faster exercises at the beginning and progress to your slower exercises. So this might be your plyometrics and jumps. You'll move into your loaded power exercises, and then finally your strength exercises, and then your bodybuilding style hypertrophy exercises. Third one, you want to finish with fast potentially. Now this is a concept Vern Gambetta has talked about. He's been on the podcast. You can check that out. Also, Joel Smith, who wrote the book Speed Strength, he also uses this concept. I've used it with athletes every now and then. The idea revolves around the body remembers the last thing you did. So if you finish on grinding slow reps, potentially that's going to ingrain grinding slow reps to your body versus finishing with fast. So you might start with fast, move through, then you might finish with fast. You might finish with an exercise at the end for speed. So a very crude example, you might do, as I mentioned, that fast to slow style. And after your last hypertrophy exercise, you might finish with some kind of box jump or bounding or something simple, just 2 to 3 sets, very low volume. And that's just to create that feeling of speed as the last exercise you do. Finally, it's gain slowly. So most people who get into these weight gain phases to move up a weight class, they gain too fast. And when you gain too fast, you're gaining predominantly fat mass. Now, it's not like when you're losing weight. You can lose weight relatively quickly and you can lose predominantly body fat doing that. 3 months, you can pretty well get shredded. When you're gaining weight, it's a long-term process. You can only build muscle so fast. So when you're gaining weight, you're looking at something like 1% of body weight increase per month, which is very, very slow. So you need to plan long-term. Building muscle takes a long time. So don't think, hey, I've got a fight coming up in a few months, I'm going to move up a weight class, because that's just going to cause problems. Think long-term over years. In those years, you'll be adding weight, doing mini cuts back down, and keep moving up as you're building muscle with your training. So this was a question actually posed in the Sweet Science of Fighting Underground community. One of our members wanted to move up a weight class without having to lose their speed and conditioning. I actually have a program now in the training app. You can check that out in the Sweet Science Fighting Underground, specifically for strikers. It's 6 weeks and there'll be another 6-week block after that. But this is a rundown of the template that it follows based on those principles. So if you wanted to do this yourself, you can. You got the first exercise, your speed or plyometric exercise. It's going to be a throw or a jump. 3 sets of 3 to 5. Again, this is relatively easy. Then you've got your loaded power stuff. This could be kettlebell swings, loaded jumps, Olympic lifts, whatever. Super low volume. 2 sets of 3, 2 sets of 2. And then your strength exercise, again, very low volume. 2 sets of 2 to 4 reps. And that won't take very long. That'll take you 15, 20 minutes of that. Then we get to the actual meat of the training for you to build size. So we got a superset of 2 hypertrophy compound exercises. So for example, it could be incline bench for sets of 6 to 10, and then it could be chin-ups instead of 6 to 10. That will be your 2 compound exercises. Then we finish with isolation exercises for slightly more sets and slightly more reps. So these could be arms, various shoulder, lateral raises, things like that. Things that aren't going to cause so much fatigue leading into your other training. Now, within these hypertrophy or muscle building style exercises, I typically would avoid doing lower body stuff. I think for combat sports, you don't need to build big legs. You just need to fill out your upper body, especially if you are in MMA or grappling. And even for striking sports, there's no need to develop a lot of muscle mass on the legs. So stick with upper body within these. At the end, you can finish, like I mentioned, with a fast exercise. You could repeat the one you did there, or you could perform some kind of throw or jump at the end for a couple of sets to finish on something fast. Now, does this differ for grapplers or MMA? For grapplers, yes, I see this differing slightly. I have a Jacked Grapplers program, again, the Sweet Sounds Funny Underground, and it's more bodybuilding-esque. I think grapplers can get away with doing more bodybuilding style training just from the nature of the sport versus strikers and MMA, where you have that high velocity component to it, where maintaining that speed is more important. So what about the conditioning aspects? Now, conditioning you're going to maintain generally through your technical training, but you will need to do something to develop your conditioning as you gain weight. And there are simple ways you can do this. You can do some tempo work, so extensive tempo work, 70% for 20 to 40 seconds. You can do that on the minute. That can be one style of day just to increase work capacity. You can do that with your technical skills, or you can do that on off-feed cardio equipment. And then another way is to add your sprint interval training. And if you haven't watched Andrew Usher and Dr. John Babrai on the podcast, go check that out because that will blow your mind. But you can do those at the end of these sessions easily, and that can also be part of your finishing on fast. So you'll jump on a bike, you'll do 10 to 20 second maximal sprints, and you can vary the rest based on where you are in your training. Typically, I would do longer rests in the beginning. So you might do 10 to 20 second sprints, you might rest 60 to 90 seconds. And you might repeat that 2, 3, or 4 times. And that would be it at the end. And that's how you can maintain and develop your conditioning as you gain weight. Now, if you want help with any of this, like one of our members did in the Sweet Sounds Funny Underground, link in the description, you can check that out. You get access to all the training programs, the coaches, the private community, and the courses all in there under one price. Also, please like, subscribe, and share this with anyone to help them with their weight gain, moving up a weight class journey.